Friday night, bank holiday Friday night, Good Friday, bank holiday Friday night. My name is Super Squid, and you are once again, hopefully, watching the ART Amigos Racing Team Group 4 MR Challenge. Tonight is our fourth round, taking us to the BB Raceway, or the Broadbean Raceway. And I think we're going to have an absolute chaos-filled night tonight. We've only got, let's have a look, 4 corners here, but I think we're going to be reaching all 4 corners of insanity when the guys get going in a few moments. If you are looking forward to taking part in some of these exciting competitions, there'll be a link to our Discord in the link down below, where you can get involved in a wide range of events, from slower touring car, N group cars for the beginners, all the way up to the group 3s, 2s, and even a multi-class special that is starting up this weekend. So if you want to get involved, the Discord link will be in the description, or you can check out our website at amigosracingteam.co.uk. Freshly updated, revamped and refreshed. So have a look over there if you want to get involved. So, as mentioned, tonight's event is at BB Raceway, our only oval of the competition. We've got another 3 rounds left, including this one. So the drive stack will be using a slightly different set of balance of performance, as Gran Turismo Sport fortunately offers a circuit-based one and an oval-based one. It's not quite an oval, but it's close enough. We'll take it. We're hopefully about to get into a 30-minute qualifying session any minute now, followed by, sorry, a 10-minute qualifying session. 30 minutes would be fair much. It's not 30, is it? I've lost my mind. It's 10 minutes, of course. 10-minute qualifying session, followed by a 1-hour race. We have all 4 sets of racing tyres on offer, as always. The super softs, softs, mediums and hards. All drivers are to use 1 set of each tyres, and only 1 set, as I've been reminded today. So you're currently watching our host, Wayne0807, the curator of the event and the format, who's done a really good job organising not just 1 but 2 tiers of competitors for this event. So as mentioned before, if you're not sure about your ability level, but you want to get involved in a different kind of racing or a different class of car, we often have at least 1 if not 2 tiers of entry for these competitions. So don't worry about where you think you are on your driver rating, just get involved and give it a go. So, Wayno's filled me in tonight with a 1-hour race. We're looking at over 100 laps, probably maybe even up to at least 110, 120 laps. So it's going to be a big one. And if you factor in the extra pit lane time that's now been modified into Gran Turismo Sport, you may even end up a lap down entering the pits. So I think this is going to be a bit of a nightmare to keep track of. So if anyone's able to drop me any helpful comments during the video, I'll be extremely helpful. Well, I won't be extremely helpful, you will be extremely helpful for me. So the 2 of you watching, do us a favour, drop a like on the video, put a comment in, who do you think is going to win it today? Now, with all of these very intense left-handers, my money, I would say, is going to go on, where is our man here? You might be in the pits at the moment, let's have a look. I would probably put my money on Simo for tonight. A very capable driver. I believe he's currently the only A+ ranked driver in the lobby at the moment, and we watched him last week put on a tyre saving masterclass. Although there's 1 or 2 incidents maybe didn't quite get the race result to go his way, he still performed very, very well. I think he'll be one to watch this evening. Another one to watch may well be the race winner himself, Seth F1, who had a very convincing victory last Friday night. Led from start to finish, and I believe he bagged the fastest lap to boot as well. And I think maybe one person to keep an eye on will be in the grey McLaren here, Beardy McBeard. Often opts for a slightly different strategy to the rest of the field, but will make any gains from the start, or any losses at the start, later on in the race. I think a dark horse for this race, I think he's just started off into the pit actually, if we get a look at him, if I get the right button, will be, that was very good, I think he's left the track entirely. I was hoping to get a shot there of Willie D. There he is in fourth in the blue McLaren. Has a tendency to start from the back. Hello Dan, good evening. Has a tendency to start from the back and slide his way through the field, although he's getting a bit shaky there, so maybe not slide through the corners as such. But he is very capable of starting on a harder compound of tyre, saving it as much as he can, and making his gains either carefully on track or, maybe more sensibly, through the pit loss of all the other drivers. So we have to keep an eye on Willie D, even if he starts from the back, because he is known to make himself known at the end of the race rather than at the start. So if you are watching down in the comments, drop a comment. Who do you think your winner is going to be today? I think mine was going to be Simo, but I think Willie D and Beardy and Seth will be the ones to watch as well. Dan saying 120 lap race with 30 lap stints on fuel will be interesting to see the strategies. I honestly have no idea what we're going to do for strategies. I've been given some insider intel saying that in the McLaren, which seems to be the dominant car, flat out fuel will only last 30 laps or 15 so minutes, which means that you have to do all 4 tyre compounds and a 3-stopper. Maybe if you save your tyres, you might only have to do a 2-stopper and use 3 compounds instead. And of course, if you're slipstreaming someone for a prolonged period of time, that should also help you save some fuel. But of course, everyone's trying to get out of traffic, especially if they're a lap down. I'm sure we'll see many strategies go out the window when everyone put their foot down for an hour, and I will be more than happy to see that. But let's see if we can keep it at the barrier before he's qualifying, eh? Roadrunner down in the comments saying, my money is on Rabbit. So Rabbit there, he's not going particularly fast at the moment, but I'm sure we will see him make some inroads as we get into qualifying and the race itself. He is also a very quick driver, but I don't think last week was his event, so hopefully he's got better luck here at the Broadbean Raceway. Also, I'm sure we're expecting to see a very, very tight qualifying session. You can see there, Lays 1 star currently with the fastest lap of a 29.0. But I could assume that might be on a super soft, which I don't think is going to last very long around here at all with the very high stress left-handers. The Baked Bean Raceway. Well, I'm sure if we see any of our competitors sliding around the track, they'll be wishing their cars had maybe slightly less beans. Anyway, we're starting our 10-minute qualifying session. There's our host for the evening, Wayno, coming out to lead them on the outlap. So we're expecting a good lap to be 29-30 seconds. Of course, you're probably likely to encounter some form of traffic. Slipstream might be helpful until you actually get into a corner, because these cars, while they're not massively equipped with downforce, the dirty air is still a factor to be considered when you're trying to follow someone closely, especially through this turn here, turn 2, and turn 3. Now you think with 4 corners, how hard can it be? Surely this is an hour of easy, accident-free, calm, sensible racing. But if any accidents are going to happen, I think if it's not here at turn 1, it's going to be that tiny little right-hand kink. It's the only right-hander on the track, and I'm not accusing our drivers of forgetting how to turn right. But I think if you're going side by side with somebody, there's going to be an incident. If we have a look here, if you're side by side into this sector of the track, I would not be surprised if someone gets bumped into the pit lane and makes an early stop, maybe involuntarily. And that will also put paid to any strategy we had going beforehand. So our current fastest driver is here, Mr. Tom Williams, setting a 29 flat. So already equaling Lays' optimal time in the practice session. But what's he going to do as he crosses the line this time? Not quite sure. He's got the slipstream in front of him there, and he's only 4 thousandths of a second off of his personal best. So how's that for consistency? Let's see how he's doing as he follows Rabid, Oscar and Beardy into turn 2. Oscar, he might just be catching up there into the slipstream of those cars. You can see him maxing out the revs, burning off some more fuel, make the car a little bit lighter. because with a couple extra laps to go in the qualifying session, I'm sure we'll see loads of laps. We should see, I would assume, you could do realistically maybe 25 laps if you don't have to jump in for tyres, but that's only going to get your tyres scrubbed off towards the end of the session. So we see now it's right on the slipstream. I think he might even consider letting off, give some space and not get caught up in the dirty air. Or maybe he might jump in for a new set of tyres. I think he's probably going to jump in for some tyres. There we go. So let's have a look at Oscar Zero there. The only driver in the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa, not the strongest car when it comes to straight line pace, but with it being much lighter than the other cars generally, I'm not too sure of the overall BOP off the top of my head, but generally being lighter, I'm sure any losses it has down the straights are easily made up in the corners. When you think that you've got just a long corner here, a very capable kink on the right here, which for actually see takes that nice and tight on the inside, and this long sweeping final turn 4, I'm sure he should be able to hold his own through these more downforce orientated segments of the track. You see there's Rabid running slightly wide there in the Honda clip in the wall. So Willie D has maybe decided to put his foot down for qualifying and not get caught in the traffic at the start instead. You see he's only a tenth off Tom Williams. He's on the medium tyres whereas Tom was on the softs. So we could see Willie D's raw pace actually come through tonight. He's about to head over the timing line. I don't think he's about to better his time, no. He's about half a second off. Later setting a new time there, down in 7th place, the only Dane on the grid, putting in a 29.7, so not the same as his practice pace, but he is on the hard tyres. So he might be going for that 30, if not the 40 lap stint, if he can save his fuel tonight. So you see, I think, a couple of drivers there peeling off into the pits to put on a new set of boots. As far as I'm aware, you've got a limited choice of tyres in qualifying, so if you want to burn up a set of supers and go out again, I believe that is fine, but it's once you get into the race proper, you're only allowed one set of each compound. Slay's not improving yet, hopefully we'll find some pace in him soon. Tom Williams breaking out of that 29 seconds. Got a quarter second faster already with a 28.7, now almost half a second ahead of his next closest rival, Willie D. As we stay with Tom Williams going into the second sector, he's definitely lost time there, so it won't be a purple lap anytime soon. Let's have a look as well with our third place driver, Brett Raquette there. Belgian who won fairly convincingly in Austria, didn't have the best luck in Tokyo, and was very unfortunate last week at Sardinia with an accident that lost him about 2 or 3 places and a handful of time that he couldn't make up towards the end of the race. An enormous shame, but hopefully we'll see a better fortune for the Belgian. Just behind him time-wise is Beardy McBeard, one of the big competitors for today's race in the McLaren. Very capable driver, especially when it comes to making the most of his resources, saving his tyres and fuel. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him saving fuel and going for a 40 lap stint rather than a 30 lap stint, and trying to cut down that stops from 3 to 2. As mentioned before, if you're coming out of the pits a lap and a half down behind someone else, well, that's the last place you want to be, in traffic burning up the tyres you've just put on. So I'm sure we'll see him try and go long and avoid that enormous pit loss that he's going to experience tonight. Down the pecking order a little way there is Seth F1 in the Porsche, whose current fastest lap is a 29.658. It's very close to the wall there. So not the pace we'd expect to see from Seth tonight. He was very convincingly on pole last week, and he does prefer to be at the front without having to worry about people either side of him, but looks like it's not quite gone his way in the Porsche. And as I mentioned that as well, I believe Simo is down to maybe in 9th place, so he's in the pits going to put on a new set of mediums. He's also quite low down in the Porsche as well, so maybe this is the track for the McLaren. We see that we've got Porsche in 9th, the Porsche in 6th as well from Seth. Oscar's currently last place in the Alfa Romeo, albeit on the hard tyres. But you can see as well that 5th gear on the Alfa is extremely long, and he's just struggling to get any torque out of the motor for the time being. So this might not be a good event for Oscar if he's going to be using 5th gear, because if he's got no grunt to pull himself down the track, he has to use 4th instead and burn up all his fuel. It's going to be a very, very slow time for him. So we still haven't seen anybody besting Tom Williams yet. Willie D has improved. He's about half that deficit between him and Tom Williams, but it's still just out of that 28-second lap time. So our current fastest driver on the track at the moment is Wayno with a 29.4. He's just put on a fresh set of hard tyres. So perhaps maybe the drivers are using this qualifying time as well, just to get a little bit more practice in, see what the compounds are going to be like for actual race intensity. So I've got no idea who's actually going to get this in the bag now. If Tom Williams keeps it on pole and has a clean race, I'm sure he's still going to have very tight competition from Willie D, Brett and Beardy. And if Simo makes a good call on his strategy, he'll be up there as well, I'm adamant. But not having the best of luck, I think Simo's currently personal second at 30.0, so he's almost a second and a half off of the top pace at the moment. But cutting that corner extremely close to the wall there, saved him 300ths off of his personal best lap. But is it going to be enough to really heat him into the top positions? He needs to be in the slipstream. So he does set there 30.035, but still only good enough for 9th place. He's got to break that 30-second wall if he's going to get ahead of Rabbit in P8. And if he can get slipstream for his qualifying lap, this will give him a much better chance. Willie D now closing that gap up to Tom Williams by another 10th. Brett Raquette, though, storming up the leaderboard there with a 28.7. So Brett now finally showing his pace. You can see he's used up about half a tank of fuel already, maybe about 2/3 as he nudges closer and closer and it ticks down. Only 3,000ths of a second off of Tom Williams. Tom was going to see that, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely livid. Howard in the comment, Blasphemy, how are you doing, Blasphemy? Hope you're having a nice evening. It's a shame you're not in today's race. It's going to be a wild one. So I hope you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy commentating on it. But of course, wish you were taking part. Simo finally breaking that barrier into the 29 seconds. Good job on him. But Brett has gone almost 300ths of a second faster. He's running very wide though on the exit. Is he going to make that time back in the slipstream of Lay's 1 star? He's going to hit that line, but he's lost almost a quarter of a second already, losing that compromised line into turn 4. And he's bumped Lays as well now, so I don't think we're going to see a purple lap from him. We've got 10 seconds left of the qualifying session. So this is the driver's last chance to put in that stunning lap time before we get into the race. We can see Brett right up behind Lays, who's also right down the diffuser of Oscar Zero. They're running slightly wide to maybe get a cut back and then more of a slipstream into their final lap. Anyone going to improve? Not so far. See Billy set his time then. Wayno's about to set his lap time. He's got no one around him, so he should have a nice calm run to the line. Is he going to improve on that 25.3? Almost, but by the skin of his teeth, it's 2,000ths of a second off his personal best. So it looks like our qualifying placements are Brett in first, Tom Williams in second, Willie D as a change of pace is now in the top 3 for qualifying, Beardy in 4th, Wayno in 5th, Lays 1 star 8,000ths of a second off of him in 6th place, Seth in 7th place, Simo's qualified down in 8th, so unlike him, but I'm sure we'll see more race pace from him, Rabbit in 9th place, and at the back, 0 on the keyboard, Oscar 0 on the track. So once our timer ticks down, we're about to get into an hour of exciting racing at the BB Raceway. At the end of the video, if you're watching it back after the live stream, I should also be able to put a link to the playlist where you can catch up with the previous events in the Group 4 MR Challenge. Hal says, cheers mate, should be a good watch, finish filming for the day, so time to chill out. Absolutely, it's a Friday night, bank holiday Friday. You know, if you haven't done already, you want to order something in, get your feet up and put the racing on. I can't promise it's going to be a F1 levels of dynamism and editing quality, but it's something to watch, I suppose. If anyone mentions Love Island to me again, I think I'm going to put my head through the window. So while we're watching these cars just trundling around before qualifying ends, I think we've got some drivers in the pit lane that are holding this up a little bit. As well as a regular race series that we run here at Amigos Racing Team, we have a variety of special events that have been planned for a little while. We have the odd kind of spontaneous special event. Recently we did what we called the roulette race, where the drivers would be given the car before the event, and I would be choosing the tracks off of a roulette wheel off of my phone, and that produced some very exciting racing. So if you want to go and check that out, have a look through our videos in our channel. We also did events such as, I think we started our first hybrid sprints using the Mitsubishi plug-in hybrid concept, which was fantastic to watch as well. Not a very popular car, but produced a really exciting set of races. And of course, if you really have nothing else to do on a Sunday, how about a 3-hour Durance in the next couple of weeks? We've got 1 or 2 more races left in that, I think. Howard, you a great job. Thank you very much. I'll do my best. And speaking of doing our best, it's time for these guys to put their foot down for an hour of racing at the BB Raceway. Brett's going to lead them away on pole. And let's see. Engine's ready. And the lights are out, and away we go. So Brett leads them off the start. Everyone's managed a clean getaway. No false starts. Willie D's look at the inside of Tom already. It's like Tom was trying to attack him at 3rd place, but no. Willie D has taken it off him. But look at Brett. He's already escaping the slipstream on the softer tyres. He knows he wants to get away as quick as he can. So there's Brett away in 1st. Willie D in 2nd. Tom Williams in 3rd. Thanks, Alex. Hope you're having a nice evening. Good luck, Rabid. So Rabid, you got a fan watching you already. Beatty in 4th, looking for a way around the outside, possibly with Tom Williams. Then a small gap behind him. We've got Wayno, Lays, Seth, Simo, Rabid, Oscar at the back. We've all had a clean lap 1, it seems. Fantastic to see. All the chaos that could have happened already, but hopefully no commentator's curse for the time being. I think an interesting place to be at the moment will be on board with Seth. He's got 2 in front and he's got 3 close behind. It's not where I want to be right now, but on the softer tyres, he's got a good opportunity to pull away. Of course, he set a purple lap for the start, but of course we're on a lap 2, so we're going to see those lap times tumble as the cars get lighter and the drivers start learning their braking zones a little bit more. We've got Lays at the moment right behind Wayno. He's not going to go for that move yet. Maybe he knows that turn 4 is a more opportunistic place to do it. Lays, interestingly, on the hard tyres, so he's probably going to try and run a little bit further than his competitors. Conversely, we've seen Lays in previous races fall to poor tyre management, and his tyre wear and his driving style can contribute to him sliding backwards rather than forwards. We see that he's gone very wide, allowing Seth to have a look up the inside. And we've only got about maybe 115 more laps in this race, so let's keep it clean there. As Lays gets a little bit tight next to Wayno. So he's going to try and take him up the inside. It's in clean racing where he's got the momentum around the outside, and he had the advantage into that right-hand kink. So a quick look at the front. We see Brett there's now doubled his lead to Willie D, 1.5 seconds. Who, no, only on the medium tyres, he's already starting to extend that lead. So Brett obviously wants nothing to do with these guys, knowing that he'll be a lap and a half down in the pit lane. He wants to make sure he comes back out in clean air. That's going to be super important for those of you planning to, well, they're all planning to pit at some point, but trying to see when you're going to make your pit stop. Can you guess roughly if you're going to come out in traffic? So we've still got, Brett's pulled away now, almost 1.7 seconds off of the next 2 drivers on the podium, Tom and Willie in 3rd and 2nd. Got a small gap there to B, as that Willie was very wide. Tom Williams capitalises, he's now up in the 2nd place, and now he's lost time to Beardy, who's going to be hunting him down from half a second behind in 4th place. Then if we leave these 4, we've got a massive train with the rest of our drivers. Wayno, Seth, Lays, Simo, still in 8th place, so he needs to make some places soon. Rabid in 9th place with best wishes from Hassel as well. And we've got Mohammed in the chat. Good evening, Mohammed. Hope everyone's good. I'm fine. I hope these guys are right as well. And we can see that Oscar at the back. Let's see how he's going to do. We run forward on the very front of that Alfa Romeo. You see he brakes a little bit later. He has got less weight to heave around in the Italian machine. But you can see he's losing out on the straights every time he puts his foot down. There's just that much more grunt in the McLaren. Hopefully he's not going to be ruining his choice for the rest of this evening, because with another 100 laps planned, he's Let's hope he's not looking at the back of any cars any more than he is the front of them in his mirror. We can see there Beardy, I think, has made a move up the inside of Willie D as well. See if I can maybe get a quick shot of that. So Willie maybe he's broken a little bit too late. Or he's had a lock up, it seems, but we saw a little bit of puff of tyre smoke there out the back of his car. Now, you must be really, really careful with these cars. Of course, you might want to consider moving the brake bias slightly further back to avoid these front lockups, but even then, sometimes they do still happen. Have a quick look at the tyre indicator on the bottom left of your screen. You might see the edge of Beardy's front right tyre just slightly turning red there as an indicator that his brake's locking up. It does even happen, even with the ABS on. I'm not too sure why sometimes Gran Turismo doesn't normally enable that, but those right hand side tyres are going to absolutely melt compared to the left. So drivers have to make sure they've got enough grip on them to turn in for, if we're talking about those stints, at least another 20 laps, and Beardy's already halfway down on those front tyres. There he is, going red again, so he's definitely wearing that rubber to the carcass itself. I say you can't get brake bias here because it's an oval. Oh, okay, well, shows how much I race on these things then. I'm not the most experienced here. But you can see Beardy's run wide out of turn 2. Willie D's going to have a look along the outside. Maybe he's going to try a cut back on the inside in the slipstream and make the move into turn 1. He's leaving him plenty of space. He does cut in on the inside. He's probably going to pass him over the line. And will he have the grip to break into turn 2? Again, that front right locking up slightly. Looks like he will make it stick for the time being. Good, considerate driving by the pair of them. So our leader is Brett Rackett, who's 1.8 seconds ahead of Tom Williams, who's probably enjoying this, knowing that he's got Willie and Beardy fighting behind him. Less stress in his rearview mirror and more time to focus on his own race pace. Willie D, now almost half a second, but 4/10 now on Beardy McBeard. We see someone's gone into the pits already. So look, who is it going to pits? Seth. Did Seth Means go to the pits? You have to look, because that rear right tyre on that Porsche is very, very haggard indeed. And I believe he has. So it's like he wants to get out of the traffic and put another set of tyres on. You can see he's still not left the pits yet. Here he is in the box now. And the replay's gone a little bit dodgy there. So we'll see where he comes out in a moment. So Brett has indeed got some pace, Alex. Very well spotted there. Still the 1.5 gap to Tom Williams, who's also on the soft set of tyres. Slightly better tyre wear, so you might see that gap start to close up soon. But it might also just be that the Honda doesn't have the same performance allocated from the BOP around the oval tracks as the McLaren does. We know the McLaren is better in a straight line in the circuits anyway, and I suppose they've kept that true for the ovals as well. But with a 5, almost 6 second gap now to Beardy McBeard, you can see that front right tyre is absolutely shot as he locks up again into turn 1. I'm sure Willie D will be catching him very soon. And Alex saying I was losing 45 seconds in the pits. That is a hell of a lot of time. So I have to see now. Maybe if Seth's come outside now. He is out of the pits now. And we can see that he's 49 seconds off the lead. So that is about a lap and 20 seconds. So yeah, about a lap and a half, as Wayne informed me earlier. So he'll be running about a lap down until everyone else makes their stops. So I have to see where he comes out then. Beardy still maintaining that gap of about a second there to Seth, but I think the tyre wear is now starting to kick in. You can see that front right tyre is almost completely dead as Brett now jumps in to get rid of his soft tyres. Willie D, with a little bit more tyre life, is going to take Beardy around the outside as they both pit now. So Willie D will be our leader behind Tom Williams once he pits. And we can see there the rest of the pack sliding up the order with those two in the pit lane. So Wayno is now our first spot on the podium, but with Lays still right behind him. You see both these guys on the harder tyres doing much better for tyre life. But if you have a quick look again at the bottom left, look at their fuel usage. Wayno short shifting, using high gears through the corners, not putting so much stress on his tyres, both accelerating or braking. Whereas Lays, who I believe, I'm not sure if he's using automatic gears, I don't think so, but with the prolonged usage of the higher revs, he's gone through a sizable chunk more fuel than Wayno has. So we're going to see him appeal, I think, the pits much later than his purple and green counterpart there. Rabbit has the Digi strategy. Let's have a look. Well, he's on the medium tyres. He's done half a tank of fuel as it's like Seth slams the wall there in the background. So if Rabbit can keep this up, do about 34 laps on those medium tyres, you should be in good stead then, regarding the others who've already pitted in on their softs. He's got a healthy gap behind him to Simo, about 7 tenths, it's going to 8 tenths now. You can see in the front there, Beardy, who's a lap down from his pit stop, will have to wait for everyone else to get past him. Well, have to wait to get past everyone else in the pits, rather, sorry. So, we've got Willie D up in first now. Tom Williams has pitted, promoting Wayno into second. Still got Lays on his tail, but Lays probably with, I'd say, roughly maybe 10-15% less fuel than Wayno at this current point, which will only increase as they go through the race, with him maximising the power of the car. Rabbit in fourth. Simo in fifth, who I don't think is going to be enjoying tonight in the Porsche much at all. You see them there clipping the wall, sparks flying. Oscar is now behind him in sixth place. Let's see how Oscar's doing with his. You can see his tyres. His tyres look like he's only just put them on, but we're sure, you know, he's not pitted with half a tank of fuel. So Oscar, if he's careful about this, might even get away with a two-stop on the harder tyres and not lose much tyre wear at all today. That will, of course, come at the expense of his performance in general. But his hard tyres are looking extremely fresh there as Seth starts to try and unlap himself, but he's been bumped by Oscar. That's not what he wants to do. He's got to get past them, but with the ghosting disabled, there's never really going to be a good time to do it until they pit. Howard saying, I have no idea what the strat is around here. I only did about 5 laps. Well, in case you missed the start, Howard, Wayno reckons that this could be a 2 to 4 stop race, depending on how hard you thrash your tyres. I'll show you a 2 or 3 stop race, because you can't use 4 stops unless you top up for fuel. It could be a 2 to 4 stop race using all compounds, or if you're very sensible, you can make it a 2 stop on the harder compounds. So you see there, Wayno and Lays, I think, are still fighting, as we've now got a massive cars on the lead lap and behind, trying to find their places on the grid. And I feel for Beardy and Tom right now, who are fighting for position, but are still stuck behind the lead lap cars. Oh yeah, howdy, I know you, DJ, that's fine. Yeah. It comes up as Howard on the screen, so that's why I keep reading first, I apologise. But yeah, Beardy and Tom having their own fight while trying to get past the lapped cars, and nobody wants to be involved in these fights at the moment. So you see Tom there hounding Lays on hard tyres, but still much fresher, saying, let me go, let me unlap myself, I've got more pace. But Lays can't afford to do that, knowing that he's got Wayno right in front of him. We've got 2 trains here slipstreaming each other down the straight there. Tom is unlapping himself from Wayno and Lays, it looks like here, so they will get ahead now on their fresh tyres. And I'm sure they will pull away very soon. I'm going to have an absolute nightmare keeping up this morning while we've got lapped cars unlapping each other, blue flags. I'm sure there'll be blue flights flashing the whole damn race. Yeah, blue flag, blue flag. So, let's have a look in the meantime at Simo. Simo's got a 2-second gap to Oscar in front of him. Again, not having the best time in that Porsche, you can see. Even on the medium tyres, that rear right is looking awful. He's understeering. You can hear the tyres squealing into that corner. He's clipped the wall for good measure. Unfortunately, I think I might have to take back my idea about Simo going for the win if it goes this way, because he's just not going to have the same pace as the guys in the McLaren. But must respect him for picking something different and trying to break away from the meta. See how the fight is doing at the front there. Wayno right on the tail still of Lays 1 star. As mentioned before, our host for the evening, Wayno 807, put all the events together, calendar, got the guys ready and organised every Friday night. And after this, we've got 3 more events until the season finale. After this, we may well be seeing ART No Hassles Roulette Race replace the Friday slot, but that will be decided at a later date. But in the meantime, I'm really enjoying watching these races. I hope you are too. If you want to get involved, we'll put the link in the description for our Discord. Go to amigosracingteam.co.uk for the leagues, and in this video you'll also be able to see highlights of the rest of this series. So as we leave these two just for a moment, we've got here ART Rabid in 3rd place, trying to not lose too much time there to Seth F1 as Willie D comes into the pits, getting rid of those medium tyres on 14% fuel. So he's done fairly well there to get 26 laps out of his resources so far. Rabid here in the neon green McLaren, trying to possibly find a nice place to let Seth go without losing time to Oscar, who's already slipstreaming Seth and trying to make the most of the free traffic. No Hassle saying roulette starts on the 30th of April. Fantastic. So in a couple of weeks they'll have that Friday slot as well, and I'll be back here on a Friday night to present it for you. How do you change your name on there? It's so old. I'm only really good with GT Sport, I'm afraid, but I reckon if you click your name in the top right of YouTube or Chrome or whatever, you should have your account settings in there. Simo then, you can see on the left there, pitting on 2% fuel off those medium tyres. Now, I'm not too sure what he's going to go for. He's had a shocking time on those mediums. I doubt the softs are going to be any good for him, so he might consider a long stint on the hards and maybe lighten his car for a soft tyre stint at the end of the race. Dan, this is the point where I could really use your help if you're down in the pits, Dan. He's normally the font of all information, a strategic sorcerer, and a wizard of predictions. So if you can hear us, Dan, I'd love some insight, please. So we're now quarter of the way into the race. On track, our leaders are Wayno, Oscar, and ART Rabid. But once they make their stops, I believe the net running order will be Brett Rickett in first, who is 10, almost 11 seconds ahead of Tom Williams. He'll take second place, I'm sure. And Beard McBeard will be our third place runner, as we see Lays One Star starting to lose places as he's in the pits, but done very well to go 30 laps on the hard tyres. I doubt we'll see many more drivers do that, as Beardy understeering quite heavily there into turn one. See if we can get on board with him there. So he's had a decent run there out of the last corner, but you can see that front right tyre is already extremely worn. As he brakes just maybe about 75 metres in, he's just not got the grip in that tyre to turn, and he's clipped the wall, lost all his momentum there. But hopefully he won't have a repeat of that as we watch him cross the line for lap 31. I think he's learned his lesson there, braking a little bit earlier on the worn tyres. There's Rabid as well in the pits now, so we're just waiting, I think, on Wayno and Oscar Zero to make their pits before we get the right order. Dan's probably practicing cricket in his bedroom. Well, some people never grow up, but Dan is a quite keen cricketer, so I don't blame him for trying to do that on a bank holiday evening. Just I know who my friends are. Thanks Hassel, thanks Digi. Try the top corner thing. No joy. I have to make a new login. Can't be bothered at the moment. That's fair enough. Besides, this is way more interesting than doing a Google account, I'm sure. So Wayno, nice to see him in the lead, albeit it won't be for very long, I don't think. But it's nice to see him leading a couple of laps of the race in his home series, shall we say. Oscar Zero still causing problems for those guys further down the grid. In the Alfa Slow Mayo, but on the hard tyres. I want to know how much further he can go on those hard tyres, because they are looking extremely fresh. I'm not too sure who's on the hard tyres. I think he's still due to pit, him and Wayno. If we look at their tyres again, Wayno's front right tyre has not got many more laps left in it, and I don't know if that's going to go before the fuel does. If we look at Oscar's car, he's got only a dribble of fuel left in, but I wouldn't be surprised if he fills up the car and goes for another set of hard tyre stint. Because the way he's kept that running so far, if he can save himself the time in the pits changing tyres, he'd probably do really, really well. One thing for Oscar, as I'm aware, unless he's changed for the series, is that he tends to use the automatic gears, which will be throwing all the revs at him each time he wants to go around the corner. And that's going to be really hampering his fuel economy. I think if he'd used manual gears tonight, I might be wrong, if he used manual gears tonight, I'm sure he could even be in for the race win, because the Alpha's so light. So Wayno is our last remaining driver to make a pit stop, but he'll have to consider coming in soon, as each lap he's out there on those worn hard tyres is time that he's conceding to everyone else that's pitted. Oscar on 1% fuel has done a good job to get it into the pit lane. But Wayno should now start thinking about trying to cut his losses now and maybe get into the pits. Howard saying, Howard, voice break, good job. How I'd say with time and fuel saving, you could do 40 plus laps a stint. Let's see, when as his fuel starts ticking over into that red light, he might have another 2 or 3 laps left in him, but I think 40 laps a stint on the hard tyres is probably the most we're expecting the majority of our drivers to do this evening. So we see Oscar is now out the pits. As predicted, he's just topped up on petrol and kept those hard tyres on, which isn't going to cost him too much more time to his rivals. We saw their Simo's currently at the back of the pack in 10th place, so he has to put an absolute blinder of a strategy if he wants to make any more gains in this. We head to the battle at the front still. Brett Raquette, who is currently slipstreaming Lays, trying to get past him, get him a lap down again. He is currently 6 and a bit seconds ahead of his next closest rival, Tom Williams. They pitted at a fairly similar time, so those will be our leaders once Wayno makes his pit stop. But this is going to be an absolute tyre destroying fest of a race. I'm just glad we got 4 people watching it, because I'm going to need more pairs of eyes on it, I can guarantee that much. So he's lost some time. He's lost about a second on that last lap, it seems, to Tom Williams, who's put on a set of hard tyres and with much fresher tyre wear by comparison. So it's like Tom is going to maybe do the same as Oscar's done, run his fuel down, top up and keep the hards on, it seems, so they can save their tyres for a separate stint, then they won't risk any penalties for overusing their tyres. Alex reckons drivers are going to have to try and double stint the hard tyre, so I'm assuming by double stint you mean run the fuel down, fill it up and go again. As we had an incident there, I can't quite see who that was. If you're right on board with Tom, we might just be able to get it out the corner of the shot. It may well have been Lays, I think. I saw a flash of red as he went around the corner. So as we see Lays there takes that left corner, I think he might have clipped the barrier. And oh no, it was Seth. Seth had an incident there instead. Not good news for Seth. I don't know how far we can go back. Maybe we can see what happened to him exactly. So he's come out of the pits. Oh, he's not even put any fuel in. This isn't very good. I think he's just conked out there as he goes into the pit lane as well. Very unfortunate. So that may well be Seth's race over as well, we'll have to see. Tom Williams, though, taking lead off of Brett as he's in the pit lane, refilling. Like he's only gone for a tiny bit of a top up there. I think he stopped on 30% fuel and should be coming out unless the pit infos have glitched for me again. Tom again trying to get rid of Lays. He's just not having it. So it's like Brett has only put a short or a small amount of fuel in there and getting rid of his super soft stint now then to try and get some pace out of his McLaren. Tom, meanwhile, looks like he's going for the complete opposite strategy, and as Hassel's suggesting in the comments there, going to try and double stint those hard tyres. Sounds like something that Brett would do himself, as we've seen in the last few races. He's been convincingly winning the race and tries to put a hard set on and fill up all the way to the top. So he should feel right at home. This is his for the taking. So we've currently got Tom Williams in first, 24.5 seconds ahead of Willie D, who's trying to avoid contact with Simo as they head through the last corner. Tom is now pitting though, so I'm sure we'll see him tumble down the running order as Willie does get the inside of Simo. He is, however, as he grinds the wall there, now only 0.4 of a second away from Oscar Zero, who we saw earlier is double stinting these hard tyres, and hopefully he can get through to at least that 30-minute point in the race on that double stint. It would be very, very impressive if that's what he's able to do. Oscar Zero is still, though, trying to find a way around Simo. Doesn't want to be stuck in traffic in his Porsche. We see Oscar, though, as well, lifting off early. Of course, lifting and coasting, a viable strategy tonight to save fuel if you are double stinting those tyres, but not in a car as light as the Alfa, where you chuck it into a corner and you'll get that lift off oversteer and burn up your rear tyres. That right rear is definitely seeing better days there. Speaking of seeing better days, we've got Rabid in fourth, who I'm sure wants to see himself a little bit further up the running order, but with a fairly fresh set of hard tyres and almost half a tank of fuel left, I'm sure he's up for a double stint fairly soon as well. So we'll see him run those tyres right down to the bone. So just behind him is Brett, who is 3 seconds back, but down the road. on his super soft set of tyres, as mentioned earlier, so I'm sure we won't see him out on track for very long. But he's got to make the most of those tyres while they're available to him. Tom Williams then pitting in from those burnt up hard tyres, 10% of fuel left as well. So we might well see him fill all the way up to the top and slap on, I think it's a due set of mediums, I believe. Maybe wrong. Oscar Zero, as a result, climbing up into second place now, but also on his worn tyres, he's due a pit stop in a moment. Jumping back down the order again, we've got Lays, who seems to be a little bit slow. He's lifting off the throttle there, so maybe he's trying to just keep his tyres in check. That front right tyre is looking far from healthy, and he's definitely due to make a pit stop soon if he's going to avoid any incidents or any close encounters with the wall. You can see he's got a Terminator on the front, but some crashes you will not be back from, I can tell you that much, as he runs very wide into turn 1 but just about keeps it off of the concrete. He's opened up a 20-second gap to Simo, who looks like he's put on a set of hard tyres only a few laps ago, and he's going to try and run them into the ground as well with his fuel. Alex saying the super softs are good for 3 to 4 laps, and they fall to 3/10 a lap until lap 12. So to see if Brett can manage them until then. He still has the fastest lap though. Is he in 4th, I believe? Yes. With that 28.7, but I'm sure that was set long ago on a much better suited set of tyres. Those super softs already showing obvious signs of wear on the right hand side. Oscar Zero finally pitting in on 1% fuel. If we have a look at his tyres, note he's in 5th now. Absolutely run that rear tyre down to the bone. Alex saying no roadkill for Lays tonight. Yes, if you're not aware, Lays has a particular fondness of the cruelty killed animals. Definitely not cruelty free by any means if they're hit by a speeding car. Some say he only eats ground armadillo. Others say he's fond of poached squirrel. But let's just say if he's on Come Dine With Me anytime soon, I wouldn't be expecting many guests. So our current running order, as we tick over into the 34 minutes remaining, is Willie D in first, 5.8 seconds ahead of Rabid in second, being very closely pursued by Brett there in third on the super softs. I'm sure we'll see him take this kink very tight, cut past, and maintain that second place. Skipping over Rabid then, who's just been demoted, we have Wayno in 4th place, trying to get onto the back of those two as well, it seems. Lays in 5th place, diving into the pits now. Simo will then take that place very shortly. Tom Williams will then be promoted up from 7th place. Beardy is in 8th. Another encounter with the wall, it seems, just there. Oscar Zero, having pitted onto a set of mediums and a 3/4 tank of fuel, is in 9th place. And Seth is bringing up the rear in 10th. Alex, I want to send Lays Marmite as it's illegal in Denmark. Marmite is illegal in Denmark. Please put that in the comments. I would love to see why that is. Nothing wrong with the quality of the racing that's on TV. Don't get me wrong. I love these guys. They're doing really, really well. The strategy is absolutely bonkers. But I'm partial to random trivia, as you guys will know. So please tell me why Marmite is illegal in Denmark. So as we see there, Willie D on the set of hard tyres. They're definitely going to be changed within the next, I would say, well, roughly 10 laps, I reckon, is probably what he's got in there. No more than 10 laps. Especially based on his fuel, if you look there on the bottom left corner. But the question is, how much time is Brett Raquette here on the super soft tyres going to make up to him before they start to give out? You can see he's got just over half tank of fuel left, but those super softs will not last very long. Tom Williams already trying to unlap himself with a cutback with that much better grip left in his tyres. We see that on the hards. And you must be thinking to yourself, if you're Brett, how are these guys catching me on such harder tyres through the corners when I'm meant to have the cornering tyre? So it's only a matter of time before Brett will have to pit in as well. Will he come in with Willie D though? That is the question. I don't think it's very likely. I don't think those supers will have that same integrity in the next 5 or so laps. Simo doing well, up into 5th place. I see him at least be in the top 5 for a little while. I have to see how long that lasts for him, but it's good to have him further up the running order where he likes to be. So Hal says it's legal in Denmark because it tastes like poo. Well, it is a very love or hate condiment. I'll say I'm not a fan of the yeast extract spread myself. But let's see, Alex says it's because it's got vitamins that Denmark doesn't like. I mean, I'm sure it's slightly more nutritious than a squash deer, or maybe the other tree-hugging animal that Lay's might be partial to. But fair enough. So we see there Simo's fuel starting to tick into the red, so he's only got a couple laps of fuel left as Brett tries to take Simo a lap down and make some more inroads on Willie D on the super soft tyres. So a quick jump back to him, you can see that front left tyre is having an awful time tonight, and I reckon he's only got 1 or 2 more laps left in it before he starts to seriously risk having an accident. You can see again the stress he's putting as he brakes and turns, locking up that front right tyre, but he is though only 0.8 a second away from Willie D. Not quite close to being the slipstream, but as he gets a better grippier line through turn 2 and cuts turn 3 tight, he is now... he's just fallen out of it again. But Willie D running very wide along the top of the racetrack there. And Willie D should now be slipstream. Brett Rickett down the straight. We see that delta falling 7.4, 7.3. And now 0.7 in. Will he have the grip though to keep up with him through that corner? Looks like he will. But you can see, as hard as he tries to keep up with Willie D in front of him, he's going to be dragging more and more life out of those super soft tyres. Is he going to wait? No, he's going to try and undercut him, it seems. Willie D pitting in with no fuel left on the hard tyres. So I'm sure we'll see Brett Rickett come in on the next lap then. Yes, so Dieter, if you've joined late, as Hal says in the chat there, you have 1 set of racing super softs, 1 set of racing softs, 1 set of racing mediums, and 1 set of racing hards. I've been told if you put the same compound on twice, you have 1 lap to get back into the pits and take that compound off to put it on a compound you haven't used already. So Brett is now in the pits. You have to see where Tom Williams comes out, as we see IRT Rabbit taking the lead, but I'm sure not for very long, as his fuel is also ticking down into dangerously low levels with 29 minutes remaining. He is, however, 2.8 seconds ahead of Wayno in second, but with an equally worn looking set of medium tyres. I'm sure we see him put on a much softer compound to use up the second half of his fuel tank. We see now Tom Williams has now overtaken Brett out of the pits on the set of hard... No, it was Willie D I'm waiting for. I think Willie D is the one I'm meant to be looking at. And he is in 6th. Oh, I completely forgot what I was looking at before. Competing with Brett. I'm pretty sure it's Willie D or it's Tom Williams. I'm losing my mind. Not having a good day at all. See, everyone's pitting different laps. They're laps up, laps down, laps left, right and centre. I am losing my mind. And we've got 28 minutes left of this. I've got no idea what's going on. I'll just tell you who's won it at the end, because I've lost the plot. What I can see though is with a very, very worn front right tyre, Lay's 1 star is looking at 7th place with a very keen hunger in his eyes. If they've used all their tyres, then they will be subject to a penalty at the end. I believe it'll be a 1 to 2 minute tyre penalty. What you may not have seen some of the other drivers doing tonight is on the harder compound and the medium compound, they will use up all their fuel and then not change tyres in the pits, refuel and go again. Alex, I spoke to Wayno about the using a set of hard tyres, and he's told me that you're actually only allowed 1 set of every tyre, so you cannot go back onto the hard tyres again as you would in the other race series that we do. That's a mistake that I made in previous commentary. So if you use up your set of hard tyres, they are completely gone. No more hard tyres. So if you use up all your tyres, then I guess you just either drive around on the red ones or you sit in the pits. Yes, penalty indeed. Wow, big wow. So hopefully drivers have put in practice for tonight and found a set of compound tyre that you can double stint, presumably the hard tyres. Speaking of double stinting, I believe we should be looking at Oscar really, because having done a stellar job on the hard tyres himself in that very, very light and sprightly Alfa Romeo, his medium tyres, which went on quite a few laps ago, are still looking extremely fresh. And while he's not got all the performance in the Alfa Romeo, the longevity that he's going to have on those tyres means that he might end up a whole pit stop ahead of his competitors come the last stages of the race. So he will definitely be one to watch. He's managed to pull a fast one in the slow Mayo. We've still got Wayno leading the race there. If I can see his gap to Tom, because it's not shown on the Delta. 27 seconds there to Tom Williams, but I'm sure with the recent update that will be by the time he gets into the pit box, Tom will have him over the finishing line. So he's in first with a very, very, very worn front right tyre. Tom Williams in second place, but with Beardy McBeard right behind him. This might be a battle to watch there. Beardy brakes late again. Tom gets a little bit slidey on the exit, and Beardy goes around the outside, make it stick. And Oscar Ziero's going to try and follow him through as well. Let's see how that works out for him. Oscar maybe expects a little bit of lag here, I think. But he's made it stick as well. That is Tom Williams down to fourth now, and Brett looking right behind him on a full tank of fuel and a hard set of tyres, who's probably going to do the double stint that I've been talking about, Dieter. And he now takes Tom Williams up the inside to Tom, losing 3 places in the space of 1 lap. I see how far back we can go and catch all this. So he's lost those 2 places to Oscar there. And Brett having a look around the inside there as Tom starts understeering wide. Makes that 3 in 1 lap for the Englishman there. He's not having a good time of it. Brett now looking to do the same thing to Beardy, but around the outside. 25 minutes to go. Brett's going to go around the inside of 1. Is he going to go? Oh, Beardy's had an instant there. He's on the inside of the track. Not good. And he's going to lose time now to the pair of them. He's taken Brett. There's been contact there. Brett still hung on. But it's not what we want to see. They're still going to be neck and neck. Can we get another look at that contact there? So we see he's on the inside of the track. Possibly some lag there from Brett Rackett, as you can see. Maybe he wasn't expecting him to be there. He's been pushed down onto the apron and had to lift off the throttle, but with some dirty tyres that may have caused the contact as he's locked up. We see in the bottom left corner, causing that contact with Brett, but they're still fortunately racing close. All this though has allowed Oscar Ziero to get away a little bit into second place. He's got much less grunt than that McLaren, but if they're all fighting for the last spot on the podium, Oscar needs to use this time to get away as quick as he can. Do you say it's news to me, but I like to save my tyres, it's never been an issue. Yes, of course. So the tyre rules maybe aren't the optimal ones you'd use for a track like this where drivers are absolutely chugging through the rubber. But hopefully this will just be a one-off thing, because in all the previous races you've taken part in yourself, Digi, you can save the tyres for as long as you feel is necessary. Perhaps it would have been reasonable maybe for this race to be an exception, so maybe they would have 2 sets of soft tyres and super soft tyres to throw in a little bit more variety to the strategy, rather than force a double stint on the hard ones. But then of course drivers will still be balancing that off as a trade-off against the pit loss time, because if you're a lap and a half down after a pit stop, you can't afford to lose that with traffic as well. We've really seen the traffic holding up many of the competitors this evening. Speaking of being held up though, Brett has lost that time now to only a second still, but he's lost a lot of time anyway to Oscar Ziero. But he's still pulling away there from Beardy McBeard with a very worn set of hard tyres. We can see just in front of him, I believe it's Tom Williams, who pitted out of that battle, and he's now jumped into the pit lane only a couple moments later. He was on a set of hard tyres only a few laps ago. He's decided that the mediums aren't working for him either, unless of course he's just coming for some fuel. We'll have to see, wanting to get out of the traffic. So currently it's still Wayno, but you can see now that front right tyre has no grip left in it at all, and that right rear tyre is soon to follow, as we see. I believe that's Rabbit looking up the inside, trying to unlap himself, as may well be Lay's 1 star. Wayno has to be coming in soon to try and get onto a new set of tyres, because he'll be throwing time away to Oscar Ziero. You can see he's losing a tenth at a time as Oscar follows him round out of the first corner. Of course it is a substantial gap there to Wayno, but now as Brett tries to pursue Oscar around the outside, might well be Oscar just letting him go, use his slipstream, save some more fuel. Indeed, RIP Wayno's tyres. Yes, RIP, rest in Pirelli. So Beardy's now pitting off of his hard tyres as Brett looks to remove up the inside of Oscar, not happening today, but Oscar always getting a little bit slidey out of turn 1. So as we ride on board with Brett this time, let's see how he finds it. with a little bit more grip in those tyres possibly. Right on the back there, Seth also pits with 1% fuel left as well. These guys are cutting it very fine, but I guess they'd rather run the tyres into the ground and save on the fuel stops. As we're seeing from Wayno, you can see these guys have already gained 4 seconds in their last 2 laps or so to Wayno running on the pretty much the carcass of his tyre. Brett now wants that move up the inside of Oscar, and he does make it stick there. Oscar's still hanging around the outside, but he's not going to have the same punch as that McLaren. Let's see how Brett got that done. Riding on board in the slipstream, makes a nice clean move there, puts his car next to him, and there is no contact. Good stuff there by the pair of them. We see him now pulling away from Oscar with almost half a second gap there. Oscar's still being the slipstream, but even so, he's not making any time on that McLaren down the straight because it's such a short acceleration zone there. He just cannot get Oscar getting very wide there. About to say, Oscar doesn't make any time down the straights. He's tried it in the corners, but very drastically there from the Alfa Romeo driver. Let's see, you get all the tyre smoke flying off that car there, but he makes it stick. That's going to be a very impressive race photo there. Maybe Wayno, who's also our photographer for the event, could get a snap of that. That's going to look wonderful there for the gallery. If we get one more, nah, not so brave this time perhaps. Wayno though, both those right-hand tyres are bleeding, it seems there. Maybe he wants to go one more lap and get into that final 20 minutes. He is currently the race leader with the final third of the race to go, but he's bleeding so much time now to Brett Raquette in second. Oscar Zero pitting with almost no fuel left, but he might be considering another stint on those mediums unless he wants to go on the softs and be extra cautious. That puts Lay's 1 star into third, but I'm sure not for very long as he's also on dangerously low fuel. Rabbit will probably be taking it off of him in the next lap or two as he's got half a tank left, but being very understeery through that first corner there. Beardy McBeard is now into 6th place. I'm sure it'll be 5th once Oscar leaves the pits. But it seems that he's currently a lap down, so we'll see how he goes very soon. Willie D in 7th, as Wayno is still staying out on those ragged tyres. Tom Williams in 8th with a fairly fresh set of medium tyres, so he'll be seeing maybe he can take this into at least the last 10 minutes of the race, if not the end itself. Simo down in 9th, and then we have Seth in 10th. So it seems the Porsche was not the car of choice for today's event. And I really do feel for these guys because they had an absolute blast of a race last week at Sardinia, but it seems that these Porsches are not made for the oval. Let's have a ride on board then with Wayno. He's now lost down to 10 seconds to Brett Raquette, so I'm sure he's trying to lose all this time on track so he doesn't have to pit again very soon. You have to think, if GT Sport had punctures, we'd have definitely seen one by now from the Green Amigos driver there. But with only a drop of fuel left in his car, he's bound to be coming in very soon, which I'd assume will be for his final stint of the race, if not his last one of 2. Lay entering the pits there on 0% fuel, so maybe Wayno's got one more left in the tank. But he's lost another 1.5 seconds there to Brett Raquette, who is trying to maybe use Tom Williams, maybe not even try and pass Tom Williams, just use the slipstream, save the fuel and gain the time on Wayno, who's losing it in buckets anyway. So as we see there, following the slipstream of the NSX, out of turn 1, getting slightly too close to the wall there, Tom Williams, but it's going to cost him too much as they both give each other some space around the long bank turn 2 and are cautious into that kink at turn 3. Of course, the tighter you take that corner, the faster your lap's going to be, the more time you'll gain on that car in front, but the more life you'll take out of those tyres as you drag them across the asphalt and try and line it back up for turn 4. So, gap now, again, another 2 seconds taken out of Wayno now. So Wayno's got to be coming in soon, or Brett's going to have him on track before he even thinks about entering the pits. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. So there's Wayno pitting in now, running his fuel down to the absolute dregs, as Brett will now take him for first place as they pass the starting line for lap 83 of our 1 hour event tonight. We're going to see Rabbit down in 3rd place, a 20-second gap to Brett. But of course with a very, very worn, hard front right tyre. I don't think we'll see him do too many more laps unless of course he tries to do what Wayno did and run it on empty. We've then got Oscar Zero, who'll probably be taking place off of Wayno as well as he comes round the track. But he'll be one to watch now on the soft tyres as well, and I reckon if he can take these towards the last 10 if not 5 minutes of the race, he'll be in an extremely advantageous position. Possibly even considering the super softs for an extra grippy final stint with a lighter fuel load as well. He will be absolutely electric. So as Wayno comes out the pits, it looks like he's still managed to keep third place, and he's filled up to almost the top with a set of soft tyres. So maybe he's trying to go to the end as well, but will we see him run those softs down to the core as well? You can see he's currently losing some time to Oscar, possibly as he gets his tyres up to temperature, but with a much heavier car as well, with the fuel load and the natural weight, we could see Oscar catching up to him quicker than he likes. He's got to make sure he gets his foot down in that McLaren. So Brett is still leading fairly comfortably there from Rabid, 25 seconds off the pace at the moment, and seemingly due another pit stop. So we've got a battle behind us though. If I jump to that one instead, we've got Lays and Beardy getting involved there, and we've got Tom Williams just on the back of those two as well, and Simo on the back of them. Let's have a run ball with Simo. It's been a little while. As you can see there, Tom and Beardy almost going side by side through the King. B's going to let that one go. There's been some contact. Tom has to brake. Beardy almost ends up in the pits. Simo leaves him some space on the inside, and he'll take I'll say he's going to take 8th place, but he's actually a lap down on Beardy, so he'll take the lap back at least as he enters lap 83 and Beardy at 85, sorry. So he's only one lap down, 84 and 85 respectively. But Beardy's not going to appreciate being still as Simo loses it out of turn 1. What's happened to Simo? He's up behind Tom, he's on the brakes. He's turning, and it seems maybe the lift-off oversteer, he's let off throttle too quickly, upset the balance of the car, and he's put it in the wall, and he's now down to 10th place. It's not where he wants to be. It's been a horrible race for Simo, and indeed for Seth in the other Porsche. He's about to be lapped by Wayno, it seems, down the main straight. But of course, I'm sure these guys will be able just to take it as a brief blip in the series and look to their next events to be more in their favour. So, as we see Wayno there trying to get past Seth. It's a pretty wide track, but when you're competing to stay a lap relevant to the guys in front of you, it suddenly gets a lot more narrow and there's a lot more defending under the blue flags. And I'm sure if the FIA was watching this, there would be an absolute mountain of sportsmanship penalties given out tonight. But fortunately, I won't be looking into any of those. As Wayno gets a little bit out of shape there, heading down the straight. But he will take Seth around the outside instead. Maybe Seth to try and let that one go and let the McLaren pull him down the track instead. But still with 36 seconds down to Brett, we're going to have to see how Wayno's strategy will unfold in comparison to the Belgians. He's due a fuel stop very soon, so Wayno should definitely have him in the pits. But I believe Brett will be looking to double stint these hard tyres. This is only about half the length down on each of them. As we've got there, Simo, another spin for Simo and damage. Has he done the same as last time? See, he's coming to the corner, lifting off, but again, the upsetting the weight balance of the car, put it into the pit wall as well. He's just got nothing left in those soft tyres at the back. Brett then is now pitting with nothing left in his tank either. So we'll see Wayno shortly take first place away from the Belgian. Oscar Zero, meanwhile, again, the outsider for the time being, but with a very fresh looking set of soft tyres and about a third tank of fuel. I'm sure he's still got plenty of race to run for the time being. Dan, Spinala, is that a rude word? It's not Simo's race tonight. We might even call that a Simala, possibly. But let's not let that one catch on. I don't think he'd like that. So Wayno overtaking Brett in the pits, as is Oscar for the time being. But Brett, I'm sure, will not be changing tyres, as he's now filled up with a full tank of fuel. So this should be him to the end of the race. Question is, where will he emerge in terms of the traffic? He has come out. Oh no, that's fourth. Brett is in second, of course. He's trying to hug the apron, maybe avoid any traffic on the outside. I'm sure that'll be fine in the long term. He's going to emerge just behind Beardy, and I believe that's Seth, who's the lap down on the pair of them. But more importantly, he's now only 4 and a bit seconds behind Wayno. So this could well be the win for Brett, provided there are no further incidents for him. As I'm very, very sure Wayno will have to pit soon. On those soft tyres, he may make the last, but if he doesn't pit, then he'll be easy pickings for the Belgian, I'm sure, because those soft tyres are not going to do very well when they get into the last 10 minutes. So we've got currently Wayno 5.7 seconds ahead of Oscar Zero, who's currently battling with Brett around the outside from the Belgian, but they've both got Beardy in front of them. Oscar's still got the inside line. As we see Brett look for a cut by Oscar, getting very slidey there. And he's lost that place to Brett as a result. He's still on the inside line there, Oscar. But I think Brett will eventually have him as they go around this next corner. He's still hugging it out there. Ethan's put Spinal in the comments, so he's had time for a little break there with the big red B. Indeed, rest in pieces. Brett looking at the inside of Oscar. He wants to get this move done quickly. We know he's had to do that double stint already, but Oscar is not going to give that up without a fight. I want to see if we can get quickly back to that amazing slide we saw from Oscar Zero there. Again, hanging the tail out, just avoiding Beardy there, and allowing Brett to part the pair of them like the Red Sea, and up the middle he went. And he's now definitely taken that place away from Oscar Zero. So our question will be, is Oscar going to come in for a set of super softs to end the race, or will he stay out on those soft tyres? It's going to be a lot of time he's going to lose, but a lot of time he could gain if we have any other pit stops to make from his competitors. So he's currently 9.5 seconds off the lead, but about 5 seconds down to Lays in 4th place, who looks like he's just had a close encounter with the concrete. And that may well put him more into the jaws of Willie D. However, he's also lost a big amount of time there, as his soft tyres have been run into the dirt. So you might be seeing Willie D come in soon for a set of super softs and maybe a small top up of fuel. He's going to stay out for the time being, though. It seems he wants to try and do what Wayno did and use the dead tyres just to hold on for dear life and hope that the left side don't give out anytime soon. He will, though, I'm sure, be losing time to Tom Williams on the set of meters. A little bit more grip, but also no fuel. He's probably due a fuel stop as well. As we maybe jump forward to see if Oscar's still fighting Brett. No, he's not for the time being. Ethan has put a comment there, Simo in the Porsche, as I think he's going to sit the rest of this one out. He says, oh, if I can get the comments to load, that'd be helpful, but if my stream has stopped there. Seth's still going in the Porsche, giving it all he's got, but I think this is going to be 9th place for him. I can't see Simo's comment, but I think it said something about the Porsche BOP not working out for the oval because of the power and weight being at 100. So we see Willie D there jumping into the pits on 18% fuel. Beardy behind him on the hard tyres as well. Let's have a look if Brett is catching on Wayno. Not for the time being, as we head in towards lap 99 with 8 minutes to go. So I'm sure we can see, I'm sure we expect to see, if I guess now, 115 laps, if not 116 or so for the race. Put your guess in the comments, please. I'm going to make a guess at 116. I'm not the best at maths, but I think I might have just been onto something there, but we'll have to see. Dan, if I know Dan, he's probably counting it all up in his head, calculator out, or the algebra flying past him as we've seen in the meme. So McLaren has 0.35 bhp per kilo and Porsche has 0.25. So yes, it's definitely no contest there. Blasphemy reckons there'll be 112 laps. So get your guesses in the comments. Closest guess, most accurate guess, wins, just say my eternal respect and gratitude and admiration. And I'll try and not punt you in the next race. Wayno is still maintaining that gap to Brett Raquette of just about 8 to 9 seconds. And he's pulling away ever so slightly now from Oscar Zero down in 3rd place. He's running very low on fuel though, so you may well see him come in to top up the fuel and throw on the super softs for the last few minutes of the event. He's still about 14 seconds ahead of ART Rabbit though, who's got a much healthier set of soft tyres under his McLaren. We'll have to see what he makes of his final few minutes. Willie D coming at the pits now on the super softs tyres, and in 5th place. Oh, sorry, that's Lay's 1 star. My apologies. Lay's coming in 5th place. Super soft and 2/3 a tank of fuel. So this should be him until the end. Willie D looks like he's got the similar kind of strategy, although already out on track with the heat in his tyres. So we will see him catch up with Lay's 1 star in the near future. Tommy's behind him in 7th place. Again, similar strategy. Super soft tyres, 2/3 tank of fuel. And he's 13 seconds ahead of Beardy, who looks like he's trying to do the same thing as well. But I'm not sure if he's going to get all the way through. Seth coming into the pits there with no fuel left and presumably onto his super soft tyres as well to round out the event. I just want to see some fighting, guys. Where's the battles going on? This is Willie D and Rabid, but Willie D's a lap down. See, Rabid's going to dive into the pits then, put Willie D up into he'll still be 6th, I suppose. Oscar Zero, though, is like he's coming out the pits for his super soft stint as predicted, with a dab of fuel as well. But there is Lays right behind him as Beardy McBeard goes to unlap himself from Oscar. So Lays 1 star is going to be bearing down on Oscar Zero in the McLaren. He's already right up behind him. Let's see, Thomas was screwed by the pit glitch, kept chucking him out with low fuel, so he's been kicked out of the race. That is a disaster to see. I do really feel for you, Tom. It's happened to me in the past as well, and it's not nice to see. Polyphony, if you're listening, it's unlikely, but if you're listening, please sort out the pit glitch. We know Gran Turismo 7's coming next year, but for the time being, you've got people that want to play this race and enjoy it, and it's being sport for them. Fuel glitches, penalty system issues, contact issues in general, lag switching, all sorts of stuff. And I agree, Simo, Tom had really good pace tonight and was probably on for giving Brett a real run for his money. Speaking of run for his money, though, I think we see Brett there getting very up and close and personal. Who was that? It's just gone for a spin. I think that was Seth as well. So possibly he's had an incident on his tyres. Can we see what's happened there? So, and again, looks like it must be that lift-off oversteer in the Porsche unsettling the cars. But it's not the first time we've seen it tonight, and it's probably not going to be the last. Seth there with front damage as well to boot, so it's like that his race down the drain as well. Sorry to see that from him. We've got Lays there trying to get away from Beardy McBeard a lap down, and he wants to get away from Oscar Zero, who he knows is going to be catching him on those super soft tyres with the traffic as well. Yep, Simo 3 times in a row. So that third time was not the charm for you tonight, my friend. Oscar, though, right on the back of Lays, who's getting caught behind the traffic. We can see Brett just in the edge of the shot as well. So Oscar knows he's got not just a podium, but 2nd place in his sights as well. Question is, what is that going to do for his race regarding Wayno? We can see on the delta on the red box there, he's 41 seconds ahead. But if Wayno needs to pit for any reason, he's going to guarantee lose that podium place. So Wayno better hope he can go the rest of this race with no stop. If you have a quick look at his equipment, you can see his soft tyres have gone right down to the bone. I reckon he's got the fuel to last him, but not the tyres. If we look at those, they are absolutely gone. Brett is only 8.5 seconds behind him as he also comes out of turn 1. Will he gain that time though? Looks like not. He's got a lot of traffic in front of him though, but it seems that he's you tell me he's already a lap ahead of Lays and Oscar, so maybe there's nothing in it for them at all. There's me getting my hopes up. Oscar's a lap down on Brett. Let's see. Go Wayno from Blasphemy there. So Wayno, if you're listening, you've got Blasphemy in your corner rather than up behind you in the race on the circuit. So we can see Oscar still trying to chase down Lays in the Alfa Romeo. If you have a look at Lays' tyres, we can see they're starting to show falling off the cliff. He's not going to be enjoying those corners as Oscar will start catching him, if not in the slipstream, then at least in the traction zone. See, Lays has also got his traction control on, trying to save that tyre wear. This might be all for nothing if he burns them all up before the end of the race. Another quite similar. What happened to the filming digi? Oh, so I'll let you guys have that conversation by yourselves then. So our current running order is Wayno at the front with no right-hand tyres, but almost a 10-second lead now to Brett Raquette, as Wayno pulled a blinder by running on the dead tyres. Ultra brave running full red tyres, and it's not the first time tonight, DG, not by any means, but he's going to try and make it work. I'm not sure if that's exactly maybe abusing the game mechanics, but given the ridiculous tyre we're seeing after tonight, it might well have been the best idea. So we've got Brett there on lap 111. Lays about to halfway through lap 110. So he is about half a lap. He is about a lap down on Brett. We see that gap reeling in though as he starts to come to lead that with lap 111 as well. Oscar Zero still trying to chase him down in 4th place, but now losing time to almost 1.5 seconds to Lays One Star. He may well have to settle for 4th place here, but still, as he gets very close to the wall there, an excellent run from Oscar in the slowest car on the grid, no doubt. Well, I mean, except the Porsche possibly, but I'll have to check the BOP after the event. Rabid in 5th place, 5 seconds down Oscar, but will be gaining in that super strong McLaren. Willie Dean 6th with almost his front right tyre completely shot. Tom Williams down in 7th place. Again, he's been absolutely stuffed by the fuel glitch in the pit lane. Put paid to his race before he even had a chance to compete for the top 3. But hopefully next week will be a much better experience for the Brit there in the Honda. And we've got Beardy McBeard in 8th place, being hounded by Rabid, who's a lap up. And you can see on the left there the 2 Porsches have called it a night for today. Unfortunately, it wasn't their event, the oval layout, but 2 very fast drivers in Seth and Simo who took it right down to the wire last week. I'm sure they'll be really ready to go next week. So the leaders are now on lap 114. Wayno letting Lays unlap himself, it seems there, and with Oscar Zero not getting their fight. He's now on the final lap, so there here it is. It looks like Wayno, with a 9-second gap, running his tyres into the red zone, is going to bring it home. The Group 4 MR Challenge, round 4 at BB Raceway, will be won by our host, Wayno 807. A very good job and a good strategic decisions from him. Brett Rickette's going to bring it home in 2nd place. But what about the battle for 3rd? Is going to end there. Lays One Star only a 10th from Oscar Zero over the line. Can we maybe get a clip of that? We've seen that they've run it very, very tightly there. Lucky I got a shot of that, but Oscar will be gutted. He didn't get that last place on the podium, but good racing from him anyway. Looks like Rabbit's crossed the line there, as has Willie D and Tom and Beardy to round out the race for this evening. So we should get the standings come up in a moment. Unless, or maybe if Seth and Summer could leave the pit, that'll probably speed it up. But if they're not feeling it, I don't blame them. They've had a shocking race this evening. But yes, in the chat there, support for Wayno from Simo and No Hassle. And I completely agree, Digi. A fantastic 3rd place from Lays One Star. We don't often see him up fighting among the big boys. But a tremendous showing from the Dane tonight. The Great Dane indeed. Good job on him. So there is our race winner tonight. Up from 5th place to take the victory is Wayno 807. We'll get the race results in for you to finalise the commentary tonight. Wayno 807 taking the win. Brett Rickette 10 seconds off of him in 2nd place. Lays One Star just by a nose takes the final podium spot away from Oscar Zero, who will be gutted, I'm sure, but still happy with 4th place nonetheless. Rabid taking 5th place, it's like about 1.5 seconds ahead of Willie D. Tom Williams, unfortunately, game mechanics didn't fall his way, put him down to 7th place. Beardy McBeard running out in 8th place, and our 2 non-finishers, we'll say, the Porsches of Seth and Simo. We hope to join you this time next week for the Group 4 MR Challenge, where we will be at Dragon Trail Gardens. That'll be everything for this evening. I've been your commentator, Super Squid. Have a nice rest of your evening, and as always, take care and stay safe. Good night, everybody.